how was your week?
Good. Just so that for those who don't know, I'm Dr. Shahzadi Harper.
Oh yes,
And
so to
I
introduce you
know,
quickly.
I thought that last week. I thought maybe
Yeah, we just
we
chat
kind of
away.
assumed, and but I
Everybody
just thought,
knows. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
true.
So my week's been good. Today, my podcast with postcards from midlife is out on vaginal
Brilliant.
health, sex, libido. So do have a listen to it later.
Definitely have a
Um,
listen. I love those. Trish and Lorraine, amazing,
And
aren't they?
you've done have you done a couple or
I did their first ever one.
oh, okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so it
so
was, yeah, it was their first one. It was a lot of fun. I think they're probably but they're journalists. They're great at chatting and talking. So you
yeah,
know,
I mean the catchphrase they've put out today of me is orgasms are great for vaginal health, but in the whole of the 45 minutes it's orgasms are great for vaginal health, which they are, people,
well,
but
we are, and yeah, and it will
listen to the
make
rest.
women. I'd
Yeah.
go to it and listen to it if it said that.
Yeah, it does say that.
Yeah,
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 so
we
so it's
have
good.
to. It's all about life, and it's about us breaking this taboo, Dr. Harper, and basically talking about all this stuff, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk bones and brains,
yeah. Because
and
brain fog is such a big thing that people talk about, their brain. And I don't, and as you know from your own personal history, sort of osteoporosis is a silent killer. So often people don't
yeah,
even know that they've got it.
no,
So it's good to raise that awareness. Yes.
yeah. So if, our first question I want to ask: can you explain to people and what is osteoporosis? What is going on within the bone, and what supplements should we be looking at to take?
Okay. So sometimes something that's really easy to visualize, and I think most of us will probably know what it is. It's a crunchy bar.
Yeah,
Okay. So you've got the chocolate on the outside and you've got the
yeah,
honeycomb. So what happens is post menopause, because estrogen is responsible for osteoblasts, which are our bone forming cells. So
yeah,
that chocolate thins.
yeah,
Okay. So you've got a thinner layer of chocolate, and that honeycomb, that tight honeycomb, becomes wider and wider. So effectively, your bones become more brittle. They're easier to break,
right,
by doing something simple, maybe even doing a downward dog in yoga, which I
yeah,
did have with one of my patients that she did that. Oh, she was doing a back bend in Pilates. So that's the easiest way to think of it. Estrogen helps our bone formation by activating the cells called osteoblasts. If you
yeah,
think about it as a crunchy bar, I quite like a lot of chocolate around it. So I mean, if
yes,
so that chocolate thins.
yeah,
So it's not just the inside, but the outside sort of structure, the walls of the
yeah,
bone thin, and also the honeycomb in the middle is not so dense. So when it's wider, it's
yeah,
more easy to break. So you get
right,
brittle
yeah,
bones, and that's what osteoporosis is. And the
right,
process before that, people might have heard of osteopenia. So osteopenia is sort of that one stage before that. And somebody's just asked the question, what are the symptoms, or what are the symptoms that maybe you should look out for? So things like having brittle nails are something. If you feel that you've lost some height, that is something that you might experience. If you feel that you're getting ongoing back pain, neck pain, and also even receding gums. So unfortunately, there aren't some obvious signs other than
yeah,
maybe your height shortening, but and so some of them are what we might call soft signs, that they may be muddled up with other things. But if
yeah,
you're getting back pain ongoing, if you've got neck pain, if your nails are brittle, and if you feel your gums are receding, then they may be the reasons. But the thing to really think about is, do you have a family history? Was your mother
yeah.
um, osteoporosis? If you are white Caucasian, you are at a higher risk than people of color.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
of
That makes a
black
change,
people.
doesn't it? Because we
It
hear
does.
more diabetes and
Yes.
heart and strokes. It doesn't, we are not in the higher category, but yeah.
Yes.
Well,
So
I've got every one of those symptoms. I had brittle nails.
yeah.
I'd shrunk in height.
Okay.
I'd broken my wrist, which which I always said because I fell off a 3-meter wall, but it's still broke. So at
Yes.
least that gave me the chance to
Yes.
actually go in and then my doctor said, you know, let's get a DEXA scan. And I was like,
Yeah.
what is that?
Yeah.
You know, after the x-ray, he said, once we've got your wrist fixed, let's do a DEXA scan. So it was good that they picked up
Yeah.
on that, because I was 48 then.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, so they did pick up on that. And then the other thing you were saying is that, yeah, like my neck would ache a lot.
Yeah.
I was always having massages, and then my lower back when I walked would always
Yeah.
be very stiff.
Yeah.
So these were signs, but I just put them down to my bad posture. You
Yeah.
know, it never took me, any of these signs never took me to osteoporosis. Basically, it was just like, oh God, I should do more yoga, I should do more stretching. I
Yeah.
basically didn't, because I wasn't made aware of it. So hopefully these videos that we do will
Yes.
make women be aware, and keep an eye on it, because when you will notice, like me, when I went to have the DEXA scan, I had osteoporosis. So,
Yeah.
you know, it wasn't even like a slow process. I was already in the red.
Yeah.
And
So
then you're fearful. It's a horrible feeling when they tell you, especially when you see what the consequences can be.
yeah. So those are the things. So that's the issue, you know, because you might muddle up your, you know, sort of brittle bones, your brittle nails with, you know, it could
Yeah,
also be an underactive thyroid. It could be, you know, just aging. Some people might
yeah,
put it down to aches and pains, down to aging. Like you said, you know, going for more massages, you know, thinking, oh, I've got to do a bit more yoga. And that is also part of the perimenopause. You know, you do get neck and, you know, joint pains, joint
yeah,
aches
shoulders.
as part of perimenopause. But if you are somebody, you know, who's got a family history like your mother,
Yeah,
also if you are a smoker, you're at a higher risk. If you've gone through an early menopause, now just remember, you know, bones are very estrogen dependent. So if you go through your menopause in your early 40s,
yeah,
then you know you've got a longer time without that estrogen, so that's impacting your bones. And following on from menopause, our bone density drops quite rapidly. Other things I was just going to have a quick look at. Oh, if you have maybe in the past, if you've had eating issues and not had periods because of eating disorders, then that also puts you at a higher
yeah,
risk. You know, excessive dieting, excessive
yeah.
exercising.
I did all of that. I've done everyone: excessive dieting, excessive partying, excessive no sleep,
Yeah.
excessive, I mean, you name it, excessive exercise, you know, I mean, all those things in throughout my life I done. So,
And
you know,
yeah, so
and I
that
think
puts
we
you at a
all,
higher
I
risk.
mean, a lot of us, you know, dieted and did all those.
Yo-yo dieting, you know,
Yeah,
there's a lot of it, and extreme diets, crash diets. And
yeah,
that's why you have to be really cautious about, you know, what kind of diet that you do, because although, you know, may want to lose weight, there may
yeah,
be other consequences of it, you know, like your bones.
yeah,
And also people with, women with sort of malabsorptive disorders like um, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, so gut issues, you know, celiac disease, then
yeah,
that means that the food that you're eating, you know, is not being absorbed as well. So that
yeah,
puts you at a higher risk of 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 osteoporosis. Factors make you more likely to develop
yeah.
osteoporosis. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, so there's a big long, someone's just written you there. Can you read that? Because I can't read.
Yeah, I'm just going to have a look.
I've
Thank you.
I've lost
I've
it.
not had a period since January, and about a month ago, my shoulders, elbows, knees ache. Not had brittle nails. I've not done anything. Only drink loads more water and seem a bit better. Okay.
But
Yeah,
that could
that's
probably be perimenopause. Oh, she
yeah,
said stopped having periods, so
yeah,
basically menopause. So all those aching joints, I
yeah,
definitely had that. But you
yeah,
know, I think all women should basically keep an eye on it,
yeah,
and you know, and as we know, the amount of women, is it like 1 out of 2 or something? The
yeah,
percentage, it's high, isn't it? So if you
yeah.
think of every
So
other person,
1 out of 2, 1 out of 3 women are at a risk of getting what we call a fragility fracture, and osteoporosis, and that just means, you know, that because of that bone mineral density dropping so rapidly, we're at a higher risk of osteoporosis. And you know, one of the things that you've just mentioned is a DEXA scan that you've had, and
yeah,
that is a bone density scan. And it's a simple scan, isn't it, Meg? You
Yeah,
know,
I mean, I think did I keep my clothes on? I can't even remember. I think I
as long
did.
as you're not wearing an underwire bra,
Yeah,
you know, you
that's
can
what I
keep your
mean. I
clothes
had
on.
like, yeah, I remember I didn't even take my clothes off. I was just in there, you know, propped your hip up on this thing. It's just
Yeah.
a light, lie under it. It's, you know, nothing scary like an MRI or a
No.
CT scan or any of those big things. It's a very gentle, you just have this shelf over you, red light, and that's
Yeah.
it. Boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm glad that you said that it's a very simple scan. It doesn't take that long to do,
No.
and you can keep your clothes on as long as you don't have any metal in your
Yeah.
clothing, like an underwire bra or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it may be tricky to get one on the NHS unless you've got criteria, you know, because I know as a GP within the NHS, we have a checklist and we can only refer somebody for a
Yeah.
scan if needs be. They aren't that expensive privately. I just want to
Yeah.
put that out there.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
good to tell. Yeah.
so it is something that can be arranged for you as part of your consultation. It's not that much more expensive. And yes, you know, somebody's asked, does consuming more calcium help? It does. You know, calcium in, you know, so that's why some women who give up dairy, it's important to get your calcium from other sources, whether
Yeah.
it's a supplement or try and get milks like oat milks, almond milks, which are fortified with
Fortified. I
calcium.
was going to say,
Yeah,
yeah, everyone's changing, drinking
yeah,
all these nut milks, but make sure that. And also, another thing is, don't just take loads of big, thick calcium because we can
yeah.
fur up the arteries, can't we, as well?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can
because
yeah,
I wanted when I got diagnosed with it, I was just like, oh my god! And these big calcium tablets. I remember my mum used to have them, and so I was just like taking loads, and
no.
then because I was just thinking, God, get all the calcium, it will make my bones. But it's all minerals, isn't it? And
Yeah.
also magnesium has to help, doesn't it? Bring the calcium into the body. There's like
Into
those
the
ones that
absorb it better.
absorb it
And
better. Yeah,
funnily enough, you know, if you have too much calcium called hypercalcemia, that
yeah,
can also have a negative effect on your bones as well, because it then prevents your bones from forming in the way that it should do. So
yeah.
I in my mid-30s suffered from a condition called hyperparathyroidism, which gives you hypercalcemia. And and that affects your bones as well. So somebody like me, I'm at a higher risk because of
Yeah.
hyperparathyroidism. And then again, when you go as a woman, you're at a higher risk. Going through menopause, you're at a higher risk. And you know, somebody's asked, does HRT help
Yeah, and
with
I
this?
want to say, yes, it does, ladies.
Yeah.
Please, yes,
In my opinion, I think it's the best treatment for osteoporosis for those women who can take
100%.
HRT. So I would always say it's your first line of treatment
Me too.
for osteoporosis before anything else. And there are other medications as well. So obviously, if you can't take HRT, doesn't mean to say there aren't other
Yeah, of
choices.
course.
But you can also work out how much calcium you take. If you go to the Royal National Osteoporosis Society website, there's something
Yeah,
called a calcium calculator. So you can effectively put in what you're eating and drinking during the day, and it can
brilliant.
tell you whether or not you're taking in enough calcium. So
Okay, good.
you're absolutely right, Meg. You don't want to take too much, but obviously you don't also want to take too
Too
little. So
little,
yeah.
yeah, because I just thought, oh yeah, those big tablets, you know, then I just thought I take those twice a day, and then all of a sudden I went online and thought, let me look this up, and then it was like, you know, at the same time you're going to do that, you're going to fur up because it will just won't be able to absorb into the body. Where's it going to go?
And
So
also
just
vitamin D. Remember to take vitamin
yeah,
D as well with
vitamin
it.
D always is good. And now this woman says, morning ladies, I take Osteocare liquid.
Yeah.
What else helps? I don't know Osteocare, so that's quite new to me.
I think
Um,
Osteocare, does that have glucosamine and calcium in it? Because so glucosamine, although there is no um, scientific papers behind it, a lot of women there's a lot of anecdotal evidence that glucosamine can help with joint pains.
yeah.
And I think Osteocare's also got some calcium in it. It might have some magnesium in it,
Ah, okay.
but I think, you know, as long as it's got calcium in it, magnesium to help the absorption, some
Yeah.
vitamin D in it, you know, any of those preparations, as long as they've got those, then that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's be good. Well, I love
Yeah.
this one here. It's been 1 week today. I've had the gel and I feel like the world's gone colourful again and I've lost my bloat. Thanks for all your advice. That's great.
Oh,
I love hearing things like that, don't
thank you,
you?
Samantha. Yeah, really, really good. This is leading us
Yes,
right onto brain fog.
brilliant. Okay, good. Because we can talk about everything if we don't stay in our lanes.
Yeah, yeah. So
Right.
Jude has said, I thought HRT would help my brain fog. I'm 48 and been on it for over 3 years. My memory and thought process is still a problem, especially at my work. So brain fog is really common, and really quite frightening for a lot of women. They often think that they've got early dementia. They can't remember things. They have those tip of the tongue moments.
Me,
You
I have
know,
them all the time.
yeah, yeah. So or they go upstairs or they go into another room and they can't remember where they've put
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Now, you know, what I would say is that um, for a lot of women who don't go onto HRT, it can pass. It may take 5 or 6 years before you come through it, and that your memory will improve again, but probably not to the same where it was. But the other thing is, even with HRT, you know, I say to most women, it's not that you're going to get back to being
yeah,
exactly as it was before, because I think the other thing to remember is our lives are very different. You know, we're juggling a lot of things, we're doing
yeah,
a lot of things. You know, you're doing 101 things, Meg. So, you know,
yeah,
don't be too hard on yourself if you can't remember this or if you
yeah,
can't remember that. But to that, for that lady, for Jude, I would say, one, it could be that you're not on the right dose or you're not absorbing it so
yeah,
well, and two, maybe a bit of testosterone might help. Okay,
yeah,
so I often find that women do improve with HRT, and like Judah said, it impacts on your work, and because of that, your self confidence in your abilities. So it may just be that your HRT needs tweaking, or you may need some testosterone as well, which is what I find with a lot of patients. That
yeah,
you know, we just may need to adjust things, or it could be you've got 101 things going on, that's
yeah,
also affecting it, and also there is a natural aging process,
yeah,
and
of
you
course.
may be at a higher risk of developing, you know, Alzheimer's or dementia if you've got a family history. Like my mother has dementia, my grandfather has dementia, so I know I have a family history of it. So
Yeah.
I'm very aware and very nervous about it. So my belief is that I think women should go on to HRT sooner rather than later who've got a family history.
And also this, how do we get testosterone if it's not licensed for women in the UK? GP won't prescribe it off license.
So your
Some
GP may
do, by the
refer you,
way.
yeah.
So, you know, yeah, it just
But
depends
like you
on your
said, Meg,
GP.
I think
Yeah,
sometimes they may refer you to an NHS menopause
yeah.
clinic. Yeah.
Or you can just say, you know, I really need this, I have had doctors that have done. It's, you know, and as we know, you know, you just your dose is so small. I mean, mine's like a pea size.
Mm.
You do the woman's testosterone,
Androfen,
don't
yeah,
you?
I prescribe Androfen, which is licensed for women, but that is only prescribable privately. It comes,
Privately, they don't have it
yeah,
on the NHS. So yeah, I mean, I have the tester gel because I still go NHS just to keep all the women
yeah,
happy, and
yeah,
just so that I know what's happening if when I go, when things are changing, or
yeah,
you know, different difficulties that I come up against. So you know, it's,
yeah,
I just sort of think it's keep my foot on the pedal there. The
yeah.
other thing I was going to say, ladies, is all men out there, if you're watching and you want to tell your wife, I think that um, I eat walnuts. Fish oils are really good, you know, because you get all the brain. Fish oils are good for the joints and for the brain.
Yeah.
And you can do omega oils and flaxseed oils if you're like me, because you don't want to do the fish oils. And then also
Vitamin B is very
B,
good for
yeah,
the
the B
brain.
complex is all good. And I think you ladies, it is, and also good fats, as we know,
Yeah,
good fats. So if
yeah,
I do more of a keto style diet, I get instantly, brain is firing on all systems. Um, and that's just good fats. And I keep away from the carbs and the sugars and, you know, that sort of thing. It's good to, the cleaner and the more, your brain really loves to work off fats, I think. So when
yeah,
I eat like that, I really feel, you know, a lot more alert than when I'm, eating a very carb heavy diet and,
And antioxidants are really good, like pomegranate, blueberries.
yeah, lovely.
They're really good. Dark chocolate. These are all good antioxidants, which help with brain health. The other things are things like, sort of getting your sleep hygiene. Make sure you try and sleep and get a deep sleep, refreshing sleep. So that's really important. Exercising. And it's amazing how much exercise affects your brain and memory function, because exercise releases endorphins, serotonin, dopamine, noradrenaline, which are happy neurochemicals. And
Yeah.
we know, studies have shown that the effects of exercise last for a few hours after you stopped exercising, and really help to improve that mental sharpness and brain function. So these are all things that we need to do from a lifestyle point of view, because they also help to keep our blood pressure low. Keeping blood pressure low is important for prevention of strokes and cardiovascular disease. So everything that you've said there, good fats, the omegas, eating nuts like the walnuts, almonds, Brazil nuts are really, really good. And reduce your alcohol intake. And also, there was a good study about taking the vitamin B complex really does help. But there's also things like tango dancing, because it fires and ignites your the neurons, the brain cells. So we should go tango dancing then. I mean, let's find or maybe that won't be socially distanced. We'll be like, but we can take our partners or something then.
I don't know really.
Or find someone to get close to eventually, I suppose. But tango dancing's really good. And listening to classical music, because that also triggers off your neurons in your brain. Neurons are your nerve cells in the brain. So those kind of things. So playing that in the car, or having it in the background when you're cooking. Those are good things that you can do.
Okay, I'm going to switch over my radio to the classical music.
Just once in a while, it is a really good, because what happens and why we get this brain fog is because perimenopause, when our estrogen starts to decline. I often describe it as, if you think of estrogen like the Wi-Fi in our brain. So when estrogen is down, Wi-Fi is down, so that connectivity is not happening like it used to, so that sharpness goes. So that's why people say, they become more forgetful, that their memory is not so sharp, and they can't find words. So word finding difficulties.
I get that.
But I still get that. You still get that. It doesn't quite go back to how it was in my 20s. But I remember feeling similar after I had my daughter as well. That my memory wasn't as sharp.
Oh yeah, that happens, doesn't it? It's so weird when you just have a baby. Why? But is that because you were very estrogen and had lots of hormones when you were pregnant, and then when you give birth, do they just dive away?
So that's exactly what's happening now. Also, you're not sleeping so well. You might be a bit anemic, which might also be the case here, because you might have heavy periods. And when you're iron deficient, that also makes you tired, affects your concentration. So there can be a few things there that are going on at the same time. So it's very similar to, I suppose, baby brain, to almost like sort of that, because of the hormones.
Brain and baby brain. It's quite weird, isn't it? You just go through life having all these. As women, we have to put up with a lot, don't we?
Because of hormones.
I mean, all about hormones. But then look, we build this amazing life inside of us. So there's, it's phenomenal, the body, isn't it? Really. So but then if you get on top of this, like with diet, and that's why, if you go and order my new book, everybody, the new hot, pre-order on Amazon. It's talking about taking the menopause with attitude and style, and it's basically, that's women what you've got to do, but you have to do the work yourself. So you have to, and don't think it feels like a lot of time. It's just basically, just remember, you've got one body, one mind for the rest of your life. And so aren't you going to want to treat it the best you can possibly treat it? You know, I mean, like me giving, you know, I just think giving up alcohol because I was an alcoholic. But, you know, if I, you know, it was a simple thing. It's not simple to do though, but it is a simple thing.
Yeah.
If I had lung cancer, I wouldn't smoke. If I had diabetes, I wouldn't be eating boxes and boxes of chocolate. So if I'm an alcoholic, then I don't drink alcohol.
Yeah.
But, you know, you have to, you know, sort of
You
try
have to
these
start
things
from the
out.
basics. You have to
Yeah. I'm not
start
telling
with
everyone to give up
you.
drinking, but, you know, it's very important that you do look after your bodies. Take it from me,
Yeah.
you know.
Because we want to have, you know, a good 40 years ahead of us.
Yeah, me
We
too.
want to be active. We want to be mobile.
Yeah, of
We want to feel
course.
sexy. We want to, you know, be stylish,
Yeah,
and, you know, and we want to have healthy vaginas as well. You know, we don't want to be,
absolutely.
yeah,
Dry and yeah, so, you know, keep
and
on
leaking.
and leaking and dry and leaking and, you know, all these things, ladies, that can happen.
Yeah.
And, you know,
They don't have to happen, but
they
we
don't
also
have to
have to
happen.
put a
Yeah.
bit of work into it as well.
Yeah, of course we do. Yeah, take a bit of time. So how do we increase libido? 2 weeks on HRT, but no difference yet. So when you say HRT, are you taking testosterone gel? Probably not.
But
Not
also,
saying
if you're
that.
just on HRT, if you've just started on estrogen and progesterone, 2 weeks is not very long.
No, I was going to say that. Yeah.
You
I'd
know,
say wait a good 6 months, really, but,
yeah,
you know, get your body going, because I was like the same as you out there. I was like, well, where is it gone? Where's it gone? Get it back, get it back. But through few hours on great new vibrators and you know, you can get it back, but you
you
actually have to
can.
put the work in. Don't just lie around
Yeah,
thinking that. You need to keep using it and keeping it moving and keep it going and have an active sex life. If you start to drop off, then your body just, you know,
well,
like, you know, when
listen to
you're
the
younger.
podcast today. Listen to my podcast today.
Yeah,
It's
there you
all about
go.
midlife sex. So
There you go.
have a
Midlife
listen to my,
sex.
yeah, have a listen to my podcast over at Postcards for
Yeah,
Midlife. There's
then
a
like
little
we're
plug for it.
saying,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that's the other thing, like we say with you know, it's, I remember when I was younger and you used to think, God, you know, oh, I haven't had sex for ages. Well, I'm not really missing it. But that's what happens. It even happens when you're a bit younger, when you just like
yeah.
swapping in between partners. And then the first few weeks, you're like, oh God, I'm gagging. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's gone now. And then you meet someone else and it sparks up again. But within that time, it's
Yeah.
sort of, you know, or unless you're just very at home with your rabbit.
Yes. Somebody said my husband just came in and then immediately ran out the
I
room
know, I
speaking
saw your
vagina.
eyes look up at him.
Sorry for that. Sorry.
I
But
saw him go like
somebody,
that.
yeah. But
Yeah.
somebody's also asked a question about paranoia. Is that a symptom of menopause? I would say being hypersensitive can be a symptom. You know, when you feel a little bit more
Immediately ran out the
sensitive,
room.
yeah, emotionally sensitive. Paranoia, it depends what you mean by that. You know, there's the medical term of describing paranoia, or if you just mean a bit more hypersensitive,
Yeah,
then
I would
that is
say
very common.
the paranoia, I would say probably it's more likely you're overwhelmed with life, which is what I had. And that
Yeah,
was the lack of estrogen. The
yeah,
paranoia, I think, you know, is I know what you're saying, like a bit sort of
yeah,
paranoid about going out and everything. That's how
yeah,
I would say, but it wasn't. I was just very overwhelmed.
yeah, yeah.
My husband is
And
delighted
tinnitus,
that I
yeah.
asked you and your response. Go on, Sarah.
But it's really important, Sarah. You know, I think it's really good that your husband wanted to come and listen, or wants
Yeah,
to know a little bit more, because, you know, it's not just you, it's him as well. So it's
always
important that
two.
you, yeah.
Yeah,
So get him to listen to the podcast as well.
I can't wait. I'm going to listen to it this
And
afternoon now.
there is a bit about men in there as well. So it's not, you know, we
Great.
talk a lot about women, but we also talk about men's sexual health
Yeah,
and hormonal changes in it. So
good.
there's a bit of both. Yeah.
Brilliant. We'll get onto that. I'm 50 as well. As a low libido, I don't find a lot of men attractive my own age. Another issue. Yeah, well, yeah, this happens
Go
quite a
for a
bit.
younger one then,
Yeah,
Hey
why
babe.
not?
Go for
I
a
don't
younger one.
see any problem with going for a younger man at
Yeah.
all. I mean, you know what? You're 50, so what? And if you go on dating websites like me, I tell you that, you know, I'm sort of 29, 30, 35. I'm just bombarded with young guys.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but you know, I couldn't be bringing them home because Aeneas would like die of
I know,
embarrassment.
she would.
Yeah, I mean,
Alice, go and have a look at my Instagram, and it'll tell you where to go to listen to the
yeah,
podcast.
where the problem.
But yeah, I mean, I just say go for a younger man. I mean, that's absolutely right. I think there are a lot of men that don't age as well. And if you know, if you're taking care of yourself, you want to be with somebody who's also
Yeah,
sort of
of course I
taken
get.
care
I
of
mean,
themselves.
I have been on those, places, and you put men in of 50 onwards, and a lot of them, I'm just like, I don't know if it's me, but I'm just thinking, no, they look about like they're 70. You know, I'm sorry out there, but it is. I had to go
Yeah,
through a lot.
just go for a younger model. That's
Yeah, I
my
think so.
yeah, you
There's always
know.
that cliche, isn't there? You're a menopausal woman with the younger guy. I mean, that cliche's been around for years for some
Yeah.
reason.
And
I
what's
don't
wrong
know.
with that? And I
Yeah.
hate that word cougar. I hate that word.
Oh, I know.
You
It's
know, it's so
disgusting.
predatory and horrible. And I
Yeah,
think
cougar.
I really hate that word. And I
Yeah,
think, you know, it's
it's
not very, yeah, I think it's very negative and demeaning. I'm not a fan of it. But yeah, I think a lot of relationships start at this point. And lots of women are entering into new relationships. So I think, and I think good for them. You can feel sexy. You can feel confident. I know, oops, I know I feel the best I felt, you know, throughout
yeah.
life. So
Yeah, me
I think,
too. I
and I
think
think it's
we're
good.
all in, in a really good place. I mean, we've all had, tough
Ups and downs.
divorces and tough stuff. So,
Yeah,
it's in a place now that we can really finally breathe and feel good, I
yeah,
think. Yeah. And there's nothing, women probably going through a lot. There's a lot of people getting divorced, lots of people breaking up, children are leaving home. I mean, there's a lot going on at this
yeah,
age,
yeah.
you know.
So, you know, time to put
We-
yourself first. You know, put your needs first, and
Yeah.
you know, and enjoy life. So hashtag me first is what I'm going to
Yeah.
say.
Yes, very good. So with the foggy brain, we're just going to say I've had the estrogen stimulates the growth of the fibroids. You better answer
Mm.
that one. That's not me. I'm 56. I started bleeding. Not sure if it's fibroid related.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is fibroids, which are sort of
I
growths
will do
within
a
the
chat
uterus.
on alcohol. We can do maybe one next. Should we do one next week?
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
do
we'll do
do
alcohol because that
yeah,
would be very interesting. Yeah.
alcohol and addiction. You know, because
Yeah,
you know because
we could do
it's
both because I'm both.
yeah.
So I go to
Okay.
NA, Narcotics Anonymous, so it covers drink, drugs, food. It can cover sex, it can cover shopping, it can cover gambling. I mean, you cover every
Yeah,
addiction. It's
yeah.
not
So
just, and
we could do.
the thing is, don't feel that there should be a stigma towards it. It's
No.
not a bad thing. I truly believe that I was born with this gene, because Anais doesn't have it at all. I can watch
Yeah,
her in every way.
yeah.
Like my dad used to say that he could see from an early age because my dad worked in a rehab for years.
Well, so
So
did
yeah,
I worked in a rehab clinic for a number of years, alcohol
yeah.
rehab, alcohol and drug rehab clinic. I really enjoyed it actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And
great when people get sober, isn't it? It's amazing when you see them. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and also how well they look, how they
Mm.
blossom, how they bloom, and it's lovely to see. But just quickly going back to fibroids,
Yes.
fibroids tend to shrink after menopause, but obviously because they are hormone dependent, if you then have HRT, they can grow back. So that is something to watch out for. So at 56, if your bleeding is happening, if you're getting bleeding, then you need an ultrasound to work out what's causing it. You know, could it be your
Right.
and make sure you're up to date with your cervical smear. So that needs to be looked into.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
this lady says, I am something so MCD. I find when I have a glass of wine, it makes me feel hot and affects my sleep, but I enjoy a glass of wine. Well, I can just say this about wine. I think women and white wine do not go together for some reason at all. I would change your drink because I think, number one, unless it's a really good, organic, expensive wine, trust it, take it from me. I think that white wine makes women go nuts. If I'm out with my girlfriends and they start drinking white wine, they just seem to be a lot more nuttier and they all get red flushes. And I used
Yes.
to get all that red,
Well,
like
alcohol
rosacea.
does trigger off hot flushes.
Yeah, and the sleep thing, one glass of wine and I would never sleep. I would just notice the next day I'd had one glass of wine. It affects your body, gets so sensitive to like
Yeah.
alcohol.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so that is one of the things that does tend to happen is women do become more sensitive to wine during the perimenopause. And you know, sometimes women, like you said, organic, sulfate free, I know one of my patients, she went and got some filtration device that she could put her wine through so that it would remove some of these sulfates and
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
So it does. So it does.
Yeah, you can also get good organic vegan wine, which is really good because the process of it, most of it has a lot of fish in it, scales and stuff, just to let you know. It's a real, yeah, if you're just getting everyday wine. Now, I love Sophie came back and said, oh, I drink rosé and red wine. I think, you know, you have to look at all those things. I mean, I know that, I don't know if it's just a trend now, but a lot of my girlfriends just drink pure tequila now on ice, like a long drink. I mean,
Okay.
it would just blow your head off, but it just seems the way. I think it's not like the old tequila we used to know. It's a smoother drink.
Okay.
But, you know, and I would say that if you are going to drink, I would drink something more clearer and, you know, not just very like vodka
I'll
or
take that
tequila.
tip on board,
Yeah,
Meg,
okay.
from you.
So,
I'll try
well,
and yeah,
cleaner. I just
I'll
maybe
take
it's,
that tip on
yeah,
board personally,
I
and
can only
I'll
drink
give you
organic wine
feedback on
now.
that.
Yeah, okay, maybe I'll take them out. This lady says, San says, I can only drink organic wine now. Yes, once you
Yeah.
do drink it, organic, vegan, you will completely notice the difference. So, you know,
Okay.
don't try that.
So,
I gave up in January. Well done. So a
so
lot of
shall
people
we?
say, we will go off now. Yes, sign off. All right.
Yeah.